All right, we've made it. We have gotten this far. This is the first episode. I'm actually going to call this one episode 0 of the Uploaded and Unfiltered podcast, the podcast where I, your host, Jermaine, aka Kryptonite, go behind the scenes of the world of creators. In each episode, I will sit down with a fellow creator, delving into their journeys and uncovering their untold stories of triumphs, failures, victories, and setbacks. This has been a dream of mine for quite some time. I just didn't know how to go about putting it together. I let a lot of self-doubt stop me from getting this far. And a lot of people telling me, yo, there's been too many podcasts. Why are you going to start another podcast? Well, the simple fact that I haven't created my own podcast is the reason why this one exists. So welcome. So this being episode 0, the inaugural podcast episode, we are going to lay a few ground rules just to give you an idea of what to expect. So what is Uploaded Unfiltered? Again, this is going to be a podcast, interview style podcast in which I interview creators of my choosing and ask them a bunch of questions just about how their journey has been so far, any setbacks they have had, things they've learned, life lessons. So the breakdown of the episodes are going to be like this. First, I'm going to introduce the guests. I'm going to give them time to brag about themselves, talk about whatever projects they may be working on, anything they want to talk about, that's going to be their time to shine. Once that's done, we're going to jump into their current mind state. That being where they are mentally as far as their content creation career goes. As we know, this can vary from creator to creator, from day to day. Hell, it can vary from minute to minute. So you can think of this podcast as an open journal for anyone who wants to listen to. My hope is that my guests will be vulnerable and share from their heart and actually provide some information and some insight that you can't get from creators who you just see on YouTube or you see someone streaming. Yes, there are streamers out there who are very open about their mental health, about their struggles, about their triumphs. But for the most part, a lot of us keep that stuff tucked behind the scenes, behind the camera. Rightfully so. We're not trying to cause panic or distress in our viewers, but we also need an outlet to share this information and share these stories because let me tell you, I have a bunch of groups, but the creators that I rock with heavy, that I talk to damn near on a daily basis, the stories that we share between each other, the insights that we gain from each other is priceless. And for years, I've been saying, wow, I wonder if other creators have this. Or hell, we need to get some of this stuff on tape and start promoting it and letting other people know that, hey, you're not the only one going through that imposter syndrome. You're not the only one who struggles with consistency. So in a nutshell, that is the grand idea of the podcast. I basically want to talk to other dope creators and just have a conversation with them. That's it. I think it's going to be really fun. I have so many plans for this podcast, but first we need to get this first one out the way and give you a little backstory about me, my journey to where I am today, and then we'll figure out what an outro looks like and call it a day. So first up, who am I? Well, at the beginning of the podcast, I gave my first government name, which is Jermaine. It's still weird to hear my name in real life because I've been so used to going by my internet name or handle, which is Kryptonite. You can find me on Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Basically, if there's a platform that you can upload content to, okay, I was going to say you'll find me there, but I'm not on every platform yet. There's a few that I still need to work my way into. But yes, that is who I am. And right now, everything is in flux for me. Not saying that I don't know what I want to do. I know exactly the path that I want to take and what I want to do with my content. It's just going to shift a lot. And this podcast is the beginning of that shift. And I am excited to see where this goes. And the doors that this opens up let me not get ahead of myself. So what else? Oh, right. Last March, I quit my corporate job. I think I worked there for 6.5 years to pursue my own dreams, my own aspirations, because the things that went down at the end of my career shook me to my core. to the point where I was like, something's got to give. And that something was me never stepping foot in that office again, first off. And secondly, it was to take the leap and see if I can make it on my own, if I can open up my own company, if I can chase these content creation dreams that I have. Let's just put it like this. I always thought what I needed was time to dedicate to my craft. Now that I have that time, there's a lot of things that I need to get accomplished that are going to get accomplished. But before we get into that, let me give a quick overview of my corporate career leading into my content creation career, leading to where we are now. So let's speak on my last job, because my last position is what ultimately got me into all of the mindset work that I've been into, got me into looking into what a creative coach would be, got me into the mindset of wanting to help more creators than just streaming for no reason. So I'm not going to give the name of the company. Unfortunately, I had to sign an NDA to get out of that position. And with that NDA, they cut me a severance check. So rather than burn those bridges, I'm going to talk loosely about the company, where I was at, what I did, what I saw, and ultimately what caused me to want to leave that position forever. So when I left, I was the IT director of a company, and I think I had 8 or 9 people under me, 5 of which were local, and the other ones were located in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I was in charge. I handled inventory, I handled budget, and okay, let me back that up. I was supposed to handle inventory, and I was supposed to handle budget. So when I first got there, I was out of IT for probably 3 months. I ventured off and tried to do a business system analyst position. It was boring as hell. So I jumped back over to IT with this new company. Because of that, they didn't want to give me any type of leadership positions because technically I wasn't working in IT for 3 months. Now, if you worked in IT, 3 months ain't really shit. Nothing's changing dramatically in 3 months that you can't learn in the course of like an hour or two. So whatever, I took that one on the chin. I said, I'll take this lower level position. I'll just work my way up, because at the time, that's what my mentality was. I was brainwashed or I was taught so much growing up in high school and in college, and that in order to move up, you had to work hard and you had to get those promotions and all that bullshit. I'm not even going to get into it. But I took the job and started my journey. While I was in that position, I rocked that position. Everyone loved me. My tickets were always done on time. I was just a pleasant person to work with. I was that dude. I was feeling myself. Nothing could stop me. My confidence level was on an all-time high. Long story short, 5 years passed. I got promotions, little baby promotions. They were never role promotions. They were never that lead or that manager position. They were all baby, here's an extra $1,000 on your check, which ain't shit over the course of 12 months. And it was stuff like that. Instead of getting upset, I was like, you know what? Let me just work a little harder, push forward. And that's what I did. On top of that, I discovered streaming through one of my buddies, Derivative, and it was something that I was like, yo, I can do this. So I started splitting my time between working full time as IT, and the other was doing streaming. Eventually, COVID hit, and that's when they decided to give me the lead position. At the time, we were working from home, so nobody was in the office. They were like, hey, you've been doing a great job. Here's a lead position. In hindsight, I think they gave it to me because they thought I was going to be like, oh, this is great, and like come back into the office and try to get everybody else back into the office. That was not happening. They gave me the position. I took it. I got a few bumps in responsibility, but nothing too crazy. Flash forward another 6 months, my manager at the time took a sabbatical for 30 days. At the end of that 30 days, he didn't come back. Then they made me manager. There was no training. There was no talk of responsibilities. There was nothing. And that was partially on my part. I should have looked into it before I said yeah, but that was what I wanted. That was the thing that I was told that I was supposed to be chasing my entire time, was that manager position. Paid well. I did it. I took it. That was probably one of the worst decisions I made at that job because from the time I took it, I think it was 6, or was it 3 months? It was a short amount of time. From the time I took it to the time that I quit was relatively short. So when I took the position, I had all of these ideas, I had all of these plans to increase productivity, to decrease spending, to increase every metric that we were judged against. I had ways to fix it and make it better. They handcuffed me. It was basically a position in name and face only, but I wasn't able to do anything that I thought that I dreamed that I was going to be able to do when I got there. So for a month, I just sat there and I was like, I finally made it, but I still do not feel that sense of fulfillment. Like it's not there. Plus, they're not letting me do what I want to do. I'm the manager. I should be in charge. So at the time I went to my CIO and I let her know and I was like, hey, this is what I'm feeling. I'm not really getting the opportunities I thought I would with this position. What do you suggest? And she's like, well, just tell me how you feel. I'm gonna set up some one-on-ones, weekly one-on-ones, so we can talk it out, and I can give you that training that you didn't get. And I was like, cool, bet, awesome. A month goes by. We had a total of 0 one-on-one meetings, not a one. So at this point, I'm like, dude, I think they just forgot about me. At the same time, I was starting to look for other positions because at this point I was like, yo, I'm done working in IT. They playing games. I don't got time for games. I'm a grown ass man. I'm not, what are y'all doing? Lo and behold, there was a position in Charlotte, same company. All I had to do was transfer up. And Charlotte is actually where my family and I wanted to move. And we're still going to move there eventually, but it would have lined up perfectly. So I saw the position. It was a esports managing director position or esports director position, something of that nature. I was like, yo, this is me. It has me written all over it. I talked to the manager up in Charlotte. We had great rapport. He was really down to earth. He was a gamer. So of course, we chopped it up about that. I flew back down here and I talked to the manager. I forgot what his fucking title was, but he was above the CIO. He was like, had a bunch of people under him, whatever. Talk to him, let him know what my thought process was. This was in December. I said, hey, I'm not really feeling the manager position. It kind of just got hoisted onto me. Like I didn't really, I don't know. It just felt weird. The whole transition and the move felt weird. But there's a position in the company that I think I would be amazing at. Not think, I know I would be amazing at. I let him know. I gave him my credentials. I know people in the industry. Like this would be great. He was like, cool, yeah, you should we'll talk about it in January. So all Christmas break, I'm stoked. I'm like, yo, we about to move. I'm telling people, yo, we moved to North Carolina. I shouldn't have did all this. In hindsight, I shouldn't have did all this, but I did. I come back in January. It wasn't until the end of the month where I talked to that same manager and he was like, hey, sorry, we're going in a different direction. Your resume looks great though, but we're going in a different direction. And so at that point, all the wind was let out of my sail. I felt defeated. I felt crushed. And I was like, oh, goddamn. Well, I hate my position right now. The position I wanted, they said, nah, what am I supposed to do? At this time, we were still working from home. But the way that the events went down, I got that news. The next day, they were like, hey, starting next week, everybody has to come into the office for 4 days. And I was at that point in time, I was like, there's no way in fuck I'm going into the office because nobody in that company believed in the mandates. They didn't believe in wearing masks. They made jokes about it. There was definitely a protocol in the building to wear a mask in open areas and blah, blah, blah. They didn't respect it. So I was like, bet, I'm a manager. I have an office. I'm going to go there, close my door. This is my compromise. It didn't matter. They would come in my office, no mask, unannounced, just open the door, like no knocking, or it'd be a knock and it just open. Just increasing my fury and my anger and my anxiety to the point one day I went in and I was just feeling off. I was just like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I might have built it up in myself, but regardless, I went up to my office. There were people in my office just like hanging the fuck out. No mask, no nothing. I kicked them the fuck out. I closed the door, lights off the fuck out that room, and I just started feeling my heart boom, 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 boom. Apple Watch goes off. I look at it, and it had an alert. I don't even remember what the alert said. I touched it and it said my heartbeat was at 143 for like longer. It concerned me. Took a screenshot of that motherfucker, sent it over to my wife, and I was like, yo, I have to quit. And so we had a conversation, multiple conversations, because this is in our heads, it was a huge thing. In hindsight, looking at it now, it was not as big as we made it up to be. But we had conversations, we talked about it. And at the end of the day, my mental health is more important than a paycheck. And so I went in, I gave my 2 weeks. Luckily, the managing director was like, hey, how about you just call this your last day? We'll still pay you your 2 weeks, blah, blah, blah. I signed a little NDA to be like, yo, I'm never coming back here again. And whatever else the thing said. And I was out. And that was it. And then it took me a good, I would say, year to break the mental shackles that come with working in corporate America. It took me a good year to just break all of the learned behaviors and the things that didn't suit me in my current career, in my current status, like meetings and working specific hours and like all of the little things that they train you to do. Like, I don't need to work 40 hours a week to get my shit done. I do because it's mine, but I can also take a break and not feel guilty about it. There's a bunch of stuff. We will jump into all of it, but I said all that to say this. We are here now. I have plans to take this content to the next level, and I'm excited that everyone is here on this journey with me to see it happen. Currently, I am in a position of starting this podcast because I want to talk to more creators to get their stories out. And I'm not talking about I used to stream on my Xbox, now I stream on a PC. I'm not talking about that shit. I'm talking about those times where you were doubting yourself immensely and you were like, yo, nobody's looking at my content, nobody wants to see me do anything. I want to talk about how you were in that position and how you got out of it and basically where you are today. I think speaking on those things and having other people listen to them is going to be very beneficial for everybody, but specifically those who are going through that shit and think they are the only ones in the world feeling it and that it's never going to end. I think it's important for those people to hear our stories sooner than later so they can push forward faster. Because at the end of the day, I believe creators are here not only to entertain, but share their perspective on the world. The way that we learn more about this planet is by seeing it through others' eyes. There's not enough voices like mine in the world or that are promoted. And I feel like it's a duty on me to make sure that I'm putting my voice out there, not only because it's something that I'm passionate about, but it's the representation. Simple as that. There's not a lot of older Black men being positive and talking life into others. And I think that shit needs to change. So here I am doing my duty and something that I love and I'm passionate about because this is what I want to do with my life. And like, I can't tell you how excited I am that I have the opportunity to do this. I can't tell you how excited I am to get other creators on this platform and get them to open up about things that they see in the industry or things that they feel on a daily basis, because talking about it and getting it out is how not only you heal from it, but how others can learn and get inspiration as well. So each episode, like I said, is going to have an intro. We're going to do a current mind state just to see where they're at currently. We're going to do a lessons learned. And then we're also going to do a words of advice. So lessons learned may be something you went through and you're like, you know what? I'm never doing that shit again. And words of advice would be, hey, maybe get a better mic before you get that camera or some shit like that. And then the last thing will be a call to action, not only for the guest who is going to be on, but also for me, because you know what? I realized that I suck at doing a call to action for my content. And I had to analyze and think, I'm like, why? Couldn't think of anything. So I said, fuck it, let's start doing it. So you have reached the end of this podcast. I hope you enjoyed yourself. This is the first of many, and I cannot wait. So goddamn excited to get these things started and rolling out so you can enjoy them. If you have any friends who are creators or you know anyone who might get any benefits from a podcast of this type, please share this podcast with them. Not only that, whatever platform you're listening to this on, go ahead and leave me a review or like, just to get this podcast promoted so everyone can have a chance to hear it. Again, I'd like to thank you for being here. I haven't figured out the frequency in which this podcast will come out, but trust me, once I figure it out, you will know as well. As always, I have been your host, Jermaine, aka Kryptonite, and I appreciate your time. Keep creating content, protect your mental, and I will talk to you in the next one. Have a great day.